What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
What's up?
And to my left, Zachary Parks.
How's it going?
So today, we have another episode, but before we get into this episode, I have to tell you all again about our wonderful email and Twitter that we have, teamchatpodcast@gmail.com or at teamchatpodcast, where you can send us a comment, questions, or any other thoughts about the show that you may have. Insults? We'll take those.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for now.
It might hurt.
New insults. That's my new request.
Oh, damn.
Oh, no, don't say that, Zach. Open up a
Just
can of
for
worms.
Zach, though.
Yeah.
Leave
Yeah,
Mogan
no,
out.
yeah.
Jerrett and Mogan, perfectly fine.
On the floor in the fetal position.
Yeah, we want to see Zach cry at this
Yes.
point.
He's
We'll
too
screen
confident.
them
He's
for
been
a
a little
sec,
too
don't worry.
confident lately.
He requested the insults. Send them to where they are due. But anyway, yeah.
Well, I don't want to call you out, but we did not, or unless you did you check the emails before this episode?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did check the emails.
Okay.
And our good,
Nice try.
and our
I'm
good,
sorry. I just thought of it.
our good friend Nemesis, who sent us an email before, he sent us an email again.
Oh, he did.
Ooh, nice.
Oh, great.
And he confirmed that yes, it is Brandon, and that he is a guy, therefore ending that mystery of the gender of Nemesis.
Okay.
But he
One
just responded
less
to
mystery in the world.
our difficult games. In fact, in my backpack right there, Mogan, if you can hand me that on the top, the big zipper in the very back. My laptop's in there. I'll pop that baby out real quick, and we'll read his email.
What? It's your laptop is in there?
Yep.
Oh, it's gonna take a while.
I was so sure you were literally going to start the episode by plugging our favorite sponsor, our friends at La Croix Sparkling Water.
Oh God.
Hold on, let me
Hold
grab
on. Yeah. Can you cue the
Here
the
we go,
music?
everyone.
The infomercial music.
Unfortunately, we've already opened all of the cans, so we can't get the
We do all
the
drink
real
La Croix.
noise.
That's kind of we've never said that before.
That's
but
delicious.
It's a tradition here.
Yep.
Mogan
Also,
just
they're
brought
not
over
our
a
real
big.
sponsor, just for
No,
the
yeah, I don't want to get sued over this.
If they want to be, we'll accept them.
Yeah, sure.
Because it's delicious. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, look at you opening your arms wide open.
All right, hold on. But anyway, so yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at teamchatpodcast and send us anything there.
This
I'm
is
just
a,
filling space right now while I pull up. this
Well,
email.
I was going to say it's kind of I was going to fill space too. But
Go ahead.
I said it's a fun time to be recording because it's during South by.
It is during South
We
by.
are in Austin, Texas, so
And
it's
it's
kind
the
of an
worst.
extend. Well, it's funny. This is my first South by actually.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
this
Well,
is
yeah.
it.
Since you've been here?
Since I've been here, it's my first one I've ever experienced, and everyone was telling me how crazy it was going to be. Now, I don't want to jinx it. Maybe it will hit later, but I have felt none of it.
I don't know. I feel like the first weekend is always the wildest.
Really?
So if you didn't feel it this past weekend,
Where did where
It's the interactive music
Yeah,
parts
the
that normally
interactives
get
were all
normally
the
get
wild
crazy.
I just
parts.
didn't I mean, I work at a hotel and
Oh yeah.
wasn't busy. It's
Really?
I mean, we had a lot
And
of people
being on
staying
South
with us.
Congress, that's kind of
I
surprising.
thought I don't know. I just thought like the roads would be closed, which I know some are,
Well,
but I thought
then
people would be in the
Friday-
streets. I thought it would be just
Riots.
kind of riots, fights, arguments.
You're just in the wrong neighborhood.
I must be.
That's been my whole
wherever
weekend.
I go, people just know I'm coming, and they
Let's give Zach his space.
Yeah, they're like, let's get out of here.
Oh, we did miss the president though. We should have invited him to
He
be on
almost
the
screwed
show.
up me going to Dallas this weekend.
Yeah, Air
We had
Force
to go-
One.
We had to go for a friend's wedding, and basically they shut down all major roads in Austin when he's here. But fortunately, we left in time before he got here. And we were
Friday
able to-
morning, I had to drive around.
able to zip
all
around
of those
him.
shut down
Really?
roads. It was very.
Well, he
unfortunate.
didn't even spend the night. He was here and gone.
He's out.
We
I
missed
know.
him at
It's
Torchy's.
amazing.
Ate some
He
Torchy's
did, he did
tacos
go to
and he
Torchy's
peaced out.
first, right? Didn't he go to the one
Yeah,
on
he
First
went on
Street?
the one on First.
I went to
know,
Home
right?
Slice on South Congress. I was like, maybe Obama will be here.
They would have kicked you
You
out
know,
and been like,
just
get
like
out.
I
chilling
was
in the
kicking
corner.
myself. That's all
Yeah.
anyone was talking about all day.
Yep, I missed him as well.
So Brandon responded to our last episode on difficult games, and just shared some of his thoughts about Rogue Legacy and Ninja Gaiden. He says,
God. Zach didn't have much to say about Ninja Gaiden.
He says, great choices all around, some of which I never played, such as Stuntman and Trauma Center, but none that I wasn't at least aware of. As far as Rogue Legacy is concerned, I'm not sure if I'd consider it a difficult game or a time-consuming game.
Was that your game?
That was my
Jared?
game, my number 3.
He's calling you out.
He is.
You're just a
Since-
bad gamer.
Since the difficulty can be mitigated significantly by leveling up your family and by purchasing weapons, armor, and rune upgrades. However, and this is where I still am on track as it being a difficult game, this requires a lot of grinding, which is very time consuming.
I see.
So the game's difficulty is dependent upon how the player decides to play it. But, oh wait, I missed a line. With that being said, the game can be extremely difficult if you forego leveling up and rely entirely on skill. So the game's difficulty is dependent upon how the player decides to play it, but the game itself isn't inherently difficult, just potentially so. I guess Rogue Legacy...
Get it right,
All right,
Jerrett.
so it was really hard for me. It was hard for me.
There's no inherent difficulty.
And to be fair, you're also bad at Mario Kart, and that's not a difficult game at all.
Damn, Mogan.
Man.
Why don't y'all just
Yeah.
cut the mics out and go play N64
So
real quick?
I'm going
I'll
to step
just
out of
wait
this
here.
podcast
I'll just
episode.
wait here.
I'm going to step out.
No,
Honestly,
we
I'm
need
not
you.
wanted.
You're our Oprah.
So I guess Rogue Legacy could be both a time-consuming game and a difficult game, just a matter of perspective, I suppose. Now to Ninja Gaiden, which was Zach's game. Let's all remember that. Ninja Gaiden for the Xbox is notoriously difficult, but not impossible, and not as difficult as its NES predecessors. Honestly, the most frustrating part about Ninja Gaiden was the god-awful camera, which you had no control over the third person. You had to go into first-person view mode to survey the environment, which is quite tedious in the middle of a battle. Fortunately, this was fixed, kind of, in the re-released Ninja Gaiden Black. You now have had control over the third-person camera, but the controls for it were inverted, and there weren't any options to change that. Regardless, it's a great game, and the only Xbox exclusive that had me envying Xbox players until it was re-released for the PS3 as Ninja Gaiden Sigma. A couple other things. First, to answer Zach's question about the genre, Ninja Gaiden is known as a hack and slash, and second...
hack and slash.
Yeah, that's
Thank
more of
you.
what like God of War is, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
hack and slash.
And second, the game that Rachel is thinking about, the one about the ninja with the red scarf, is called Shinobi, which was released on the PS2.
Yeah, I thought
wow.
I had it.
And I agreed
Dang.
with you.
How about that?
Man, Brandon's just our fact checker.
Dude, he's great. Yeah,
He's good. I like
has
this.
some great insight, actually.
He's making us better,
Yeah,
and I
he is.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Mist is a game that I played 5 minutes as a child and never touched again. It was too
Good.
perplexing.
Good.
It was too perplexing to my pre-adolescent mind.
Exactly.
And I've had no interest in checking it out ever
No,
since.
it's not any better as an
No,
adult.
it was terrible. That was my impression of it too. Given Rachel's condemnation of the game, Mogan,
Oh, yeah.
you revealed your true first name.
Oh, well, that's
Oh,
because
no.
we go way back.
Yeah.
That's true.
I went to
That's true.
middle school
Y'all
with
are
that
buddies.
guy.
What
Yeah.
fun. What fun. Given Rachel's condemnation of the game, I think I made the right choice. Other than that, I have nothing else to say about Myst except that The Witness looks like a better modern version of the same concept. I have heard a lot of good things about that game.
I don't
I
know
have
if I know
too.
anything about that.
But now that I know it's like Mist, I'm not interested
I'm
at all.
pretty sure it's made by the same guy who made Braid.
Oh, really?
I could be wrong. Jonathan Winter, I believe.
Okay.
I've heard a lot about its art style more than anything else. It's really very interesting.
Yeah. When choosing my most difficult games, I decided to limit myself to games I actually beat because otherwise I would have too much difficulty narrowing my list down. So here they are. Number 1, Ninja Gaiden for the NES.
Hey.
Number 2, Castlevania for the NES.
Oh.
And 3, Devil May Cry 3 for the PS2.
Oh, Devil May Cry. I played one of those. I don't know exactly
I
which
think
one.
I only played a little bit of the second one.
Yeah.
And I think I was immediately like, I'm really bad at this.
That was an interesting
So
game.
I'm
though.
pretty sure I
Anything
gave
with
up.
dual pistols, I'm immediately
I
intrigued
did
by.
love his red, like, long trench coat.
Yes,
like
he
the
was
leather
so
coat.
cool.
I was like, oh,
and he
man,
had like either a big
super
sword
cool.
or like dual pistols.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it's and like unlimited ammo, if I remember. Which I like.
So thank you, Brandon, for your email. Again,
Good.
it was a very good email. We appreciated reading it and sharing it with all the other listeners.
Yes.
But on now to the topic of today's show, which is a first.
This is the first time we're doing this, so
I'm
I'm
so
very
nervous.
interested
It's
to
a
see how
first
this
for
goes
Team Chat
down.
Podcast.
It is. But the timing was right.
It was. It worked
was
out
just-
beautifully.
it
We've
wasn't-
been discussing this for a long time, trying to figure out when the best time to do this. And this month, March, the time is now.
Yeah.
The time is now.
It was out of our hands.
It is. It was decided by the fates.
Yes, it was.
And here we are delivering our first Team Chat Podcast reviews.
Yes.
Oh, God.
2 reviews.
2 reviews, possibly a third. We'll see how the time goes. but 2 reviews of 2 recently released games. And we'll be beginning with the first one, which will be covered by...
No.
Are we going to do
Mogan.
that first? We're going to do Twilight Princess first?
You blew it!
Oh, everyone knows.
Spoilers!
She's been talking about it forever.
That's true.
I
That's
know.
true. I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise to
Yes.
anybody.
But Mogan got the new Twilight Princess HD and has been playing it since its release and now has a few thoughts.
I have some thoughts. Not like a ton of thoughts though. So like anyone
I have
who
a lot of
is-
questions if it
Oh,
helps.
that's going to help a lot
Okay.
because from just if I were describing it to someone for the first time who had never ever played it, I would have a crap ton to say.
Right.
But because it's a remake, I'm going on the assumption that everyone has already played it. Because when I approach a remake, I'm really only going to buy it for myself for the collector's value.
But let's assume, I bet you there are a fair amount of people that never played Twilight
Oh,
Princess that just
absolutely,
didn't
especially younger fans.
Yeah, I don't
so,
know
like, anyone
anybody.
that was around or just wasn't that into games back when the first one came out, and it's been a decade now.
Which
I
is
really
scary,
didn't
but
feel like it had been that long, but
long
it's been
time.
10 years. There could be new gamers out there that weren't even born. That's
That's
a
crazy.
very
That's
kinda
crazy.
true.
It's a game that's 10
scary
years old.
idea,
Yeah.
And
and
people
I
out there have
don't,
never
I don't
played
like
it.
thinking about it. I've just
Yeah,
pushed
that's
those
wild.
thoughts out of my mind. So it has actually been 10 years, which is wild to think about because in my brain, it's still like very new. It's like, oh no, Twilight Princess, one of the newer installments in the series. And it's like, no, there have been a lot between now and then. Most ostensibly speaking, one of the Wind Waker also HD remake. So playing Twilight Princess HD was very helpful to have something directly in the same series to compare it with. Another HD remake that's just a completely remastered edition. And I'm going to go on ahead and just spoil the end review. I would not say that it is as good. So in comparison to Wind Waker HD, in terms of remake value,
Yes.
I would not rate it as being on the same level.
Interesting. That's
So
a great
dig
way
in.
to rate it, though.
Why?
Now, I have some very interesting things to say about that. So let's start with the pros. Let's start with all the good things. I actually...
Wow,
this is
Mogan
rare.
actually
I
brought
wrote things
something.
down. I'm gonna
Oh
let
my
him hear it.
goodness.
Yeah, it's like a real piece of paper. It's very exciting stuff. I do these at my real job when I'm not actively doing what I should be. So it's a very exciting day. I always have to do it on the DL. So the things that I really, really am impressed with. One, the actual visual component to it. So I've heard, I follow a lot of different blogs and stuff that are mostly Legend of Princess, Legend of Zelda centered, and a lot of them are like, oh god, the HD quality is really bad, blah blah blah, and I'm like, to the untrained eye, to me though, to someone who doesn't know anything about how you actually remaster a game, it looks fantastic.
Okay.
Now, in the actual environment, I can sometimes see what they're saying. There's only so much detail you can add to polygons before you've kind of reached the limit of how good it can get without changing the actual skeleton of the whole thing.
Right.
But where it really shines is in the actual characters. So obviously The Legend of Zelda, always very strong on character quality. And Twilight Princess has tons of side characters. Just people all over the place. Shopkeepers, neighbors, other warriors and stuff that you can just encounter throughout the game. And it's very noticeable how much additional detail they put not only into their faces, but into their expressions, into their clothing. So go ahead.
So it's not essentially how you remember it then?
No, it is.
Well, it is how you, but it's like, I mean,
It
like
is,
when you're
but it's
seeing
more
it,
vivid.
but when you're playing the new game, when you're playing the HD remake, you're not thinking like, oh, this is how the game always looked. You're like, oh, this does look a lot better.
No, you can definitely tell. Yeah,
Okay.
in that sense, you can definitely immediately tell, holy crap, and I'm going to give a really good, scary example. So there's this, do you remember Uku?
You have to
She
describe.
was that really creepy bird person thing who just has like a little, kind of almost a chicken, well, more like a small harpy.
Yeah.
Like very sharp looking, creepy claws and like red eyes. And she's very nice.
Doesn't she like teleport
Yeah,
you?
she's really nice. So she's actually this like person, if you can call her that you can obtain in dungeons that functions as a way to warp you out if you're in danger, and then you can warp right back into the room that she basically evacuated you from if you need to. I have literally not even once ever had to use Uku for the actual function that she exists for. I've just always gotten her in the dungeon, oh God.
This little thing.
Well, how do I get rid of her? Can't wait to get out of here because she's really creepy looking.
She is creepy.
Like, she's got a great personality and stuff, but like you look at her and you're like, that's the creature of nightmares. And the biggest difference that I noticed is in the HD remake, she's kind of like gray in color almost, and in the HD remake she has like very noticeably wrinkled skin that makes her like 1,000 times creepier.
Interesting. Okay.
And she actually has like a son who's just named, I think she just calls him Junior.
But that was in the original one.
It's in
Right.
the original.
Yeah.
Like, the difference is in the older one, it was muted enough that you couldn't really get the full horror of her design. And now that it's in HD, you're like, oh my God.
I see
this
what
is
they
too
were
much.
going
This
for.
is
You're
too,
terrified.
Yes.
This is too much detail. We need to scale that back a little bit. decrease the sharpness on my screen. So it's very, very vivid and very noticeable in
Well, that's interesting that because I feel like, I would have played and be like, oh, the game always looked like this. Because
No,
when I
no,
remember,
no.
when I think about it in my memory, I think it looked fantastic.
No, and
you know
it's
what I mean?
even been a while.
Yeah.
Like, I very much didn't replay the old Twilight Princess specifically because I was like, no, I want to be able to approach it with as fresh of eyes
Yes.
as you can get, having replayed a game many, many times.
Yeah.
So it's one of the first things an old fan will notice is that the characters are much, much more vivid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, what else is on my list for pros? Yes. So, the actual gameplay, not different at all. Except, and I actually don't know if this was, like, I'm either going insane or it's something I never ever noticed before. I constantly feel like everything is flipped.
Like
the
inverted
game has
axis
been,
and
yeah,
stuff?
No,
or?
no, no. Like the game has been flipped in a mirror.
Like the whole world?
Yeah, like
Really?
the whole world.
Really?
Like if I'm going down a road and I go, oh, I remember where I need to go, I'll go left, and it's not on the left.
Really?
It's on the right.
It's
Do you
also,
think-
that was a motion to the right, by the way. I can't
Did
even
you-
get it right in the real world.
Yeah, maybe it's you, Mogan.
That's the thing, I can't figure out.
Did you look
if
that
it-
up?
Like, I looked it up and they were like, oh no, from the GameCube to Wii, they changed it.
Oh, and you're like,
because
there's a
of
conspiracy
no,
going
because
on.
of the Wiimote controls, but I played the original Wii
Yeah.
version. Like, that's the version I'm going off of. I didn't play the GameCube
Right, it
version.
should be the same.
So I'm like, no, it should be the same. And it's not, and it's really messing with me. And I'm like, is it just me? Is it just that I'm remembering it wrong? Because everything's on the wrong side. And I'm like, maybe I'm just going crazy.
You're probably going crazy. Mogan.
Maybe I've just finally reached the limit of Legend of Zelda that you can obtain, and I've just gone off the deep end now. So either it is, if someone could answer this for me, that would be great. I would love to know if other people have encountered the same problem. Because other than that, I really haven't looked up much about it, in online communities. I kind of try to stay away from that until I've gotten pretty well done with the game. And then I go back in and go, okay, what did everybody else think? I like to keep my brain as pure as possible to form my own opinions. So they did actually add a couple of also new interesting things. So most importantly, the amiibo. So this being the Wii U, this is a game that has amiibo functionality.
Cool.
So if you choose to get like one of the more collector's editions, you actually get the exclusive amiibo that is Wolf, Link, and Midna. And if you actually use it, it just has like some fun little not weird, but just some fun functionality in the game where you can use it to immediately load your save file without actually having to go through all the menus.
Oh, that's cool.
But its main function is that it lets you access the Cave of Shadows. And I really hope I said that right, because otherwise that would be really embarrassing.
Is that a cave that existed in the
Sounds
No.
like
original
you're
game?
wrong.
No. So
It's a
in
new
the
cave?
original game, the most similar component would have been the Cave of Ordeals. Do you remember that, Zach?
I mean, by name, no, but if I would recognize
so
it.
If you were playing the game, the Cave of Ordeals is basically like an optional super dungeon that you can access in the Gerudo Desert. You actually have to warp away a piece of bridge that has gotten flung into the desert by, the enemies.
Yeah.
And if you warp it away, it unveils in the desert this just dungeon. And you can just go down into it. You don't have to at all. You can play the whole game and never
go
do
there.
the Cave of Ordeals. So
Totally
it's
optional.
totally optional. So it was basically, I believe it's just 50 levels of increasing descension further into the cave and, of course, increasing difficulty. So, like, the first level might be, you have to fight 3 keys. And that's it. And you're like, really? That's it? But then the further you go, the more enemies there are, the harder they are to fight. And then I
I
think,
don't
like,
think I did that.
that's okay.
Well, warping the bridge you had to do in
You
order
had
to
to
get
warp
to
the bridge,
traverse
but you
that
didn't
one area.
have to go further
Okay.
into the Cave of Ordeals.
Did you go through the whole Cave
Oh,
of
yeah.
Ordeals?
Oh, yeah.
What's at the
I'm
bottom?
a super fan. Come on.
Yes. What's that?
So
the
if
end?
you do actually finish the entire Cave of Ordeals, A, you get bragging rights, and B, you
that
actually
you have just used.
you actually get, well, it's not hard. You can easily finish the Cave of Ordeals, but at the bottom is actually the game's only great fairy, more or less. So, in old Legend of Zelda games, there are always great fairies. There's the little fairies that you can capture and put in your bottle, and they help you in battle. And then there are the great fairies, which are like much more, they're larger, they're more humanoid, you actually interact with them. So this is really the game's only great fairy, and her design is awesome. She's got these big, crazy, translucent, multi-leveled wings and like this long blue-green mermaid hair, and you get down there and you're like, don't you deserve better?
To just be stuck
than
down
living
here.
in the bottom of a cave. But she will give you what are basically the Great Fairy's tears, which is like a super potion. So it's like, oh, I get this super
Well, that
cool.
now sounds familiar. Would I have
Well,
gotten that
maybe
any
you
other
got-
way?
No.
No? That
No, you
sounds
would have had to
familiar.
have done that.
Man,
You probably did it.
yeah, I probably did.
I mean, the actual gameplay itself of the Cave of Ordeals is pretty forgettable. So, like, unless you really had played the game many, many times,
Right.
you might honestly never think of it again.
Okay.
So, the Cave of Ordeals is more or less the predecessor to the Cave of Shadows, which is totally new content. So the Cave of Shadows, and actually when you kind of like warp into it for the first time, there's this giant obelisk type statue that is the amiibo of Wolf Link and Midna,
that's
and you're
cool.
like, aha,
Yeah,
I
that's
see
nice.
what they did there. So it's actually, it's not quite the same, but the model is more or less, I mean, the function is exactly, but it is the same. They're the same thing, just in very slightly different format. It's just waves of increasingly difficult enemies.
Yeah.
And I think you just beat them. I've barely done it so far. I've mostly stayed on the main game, but you can fight them just to get rupees, all kinds of cool stuff, blah, blah, blah. So in that sort of sense, that's new content that I don't really care about, because fighting enemies is great and all, but I think we all know that what I care about is side quests. I care about new optional side quests.
Yep.
And they did introduce a brand new side quest that I had never even heard of before, like not even in the pre-release content. And you know the stamp system? In
Nope.
the Wii? Nope, never mind.
I don't. I'm not very familiar with how the Wii U works.
So in-
That's only Wii U?
it would only be Wii.
Then I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's basically...
I was going to lie and be like,
I have a
yeah,
Wii,
remember that.
but I don't know
Most
Wii U.
other people probably would have encountered these in like Mario games. So in a lot of the newer Mario games, you can get stamps in all of these different levels that are just fun little optional things. There's a stamp of Bowser, a stamp of Peach, blah, blah, blah. In Twilight Princess, you can now get Hylian alphabet stamps. So it's actually like the language that the Hylians use within the game.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's just totally fun new stuff. And it's like, yes.
Just little
'Cause
collectibles
Yeah,
you can
just
get.
little
Yeah.
collectibles. Because I was playing the very first dungeon, and I was just swimming around in water for no reason, because I was like, you never know. It's a remake. You never know what's
what
going to
you're
be
gonna
down
find.
here.
Yeah.
And I was right. There was actually like a new little optional alcove, and I was like, oh, there didn't used to be a treasure chest in here. And now there's a new treasure chest full of new
It's amazing that you
stuff.
even can like remember that wasn't there, and that
Seriously.
if I went back, I'd be like, this is exactly how it was. This
I
is,
remember like key points of like a mission or something like that, but like no
Maybe.
way would I remember like, oh, this chest is supposed to be here.
right,
No.
right. That's amazing.
So even playing through old Legend of Dragoon, I can still be like, the Stardust is right there behind the hidden
Just with
wall.
your eyes
to
closed,
the left,
you
to
can
the
just-
right. It's
she's
like
there.
that's where it is. So having there be something
God.
like just totally new, something completely optional that's just like, yes, just new,
Right,
fun,
right.
Yeah.
That
silly
makes
stuff.
it like they really did
Exactly.
not just slap like a
Yeah.
new coat of paint on this.
And that's
Right.
what I was really looking for. I was more looking for new optional stuff, which I feel like in comparison, Wind Waker did a much better job of. So I definitely feel like this remake, it's beautiful and it is what it is. You can take it or leave it, but I feel like they could have done a lot more. So I'm not sure. Maybe it was just the release date. They were trying to get it out, obviously, before Zelda Wii U eventually comes out.
Yeah, but that could
And,
be like another
interestingly
year,
enough,
right? For
But I have heard rumors that Zelda Wii U is going to more... Well, there's so little that we actually know about it yet. They're like... I think Nintendo came out with a statement that were like, people will want to have played Twilight Princess before they play Zelda Wii U.
So that's
it's
why they
like,
came out with the remaster
they're trying to
before.
do some
Yeah,
sort
here
of
it is
tie
again,
in there.
sure.
So it's like, okay, I got
Okay.
So,
got your number.
well, besides that, like for any long-term goal that Nintendo has in mind, do you think Twilight Princess deserved a remake?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, like in the actual iconography of the series, Twilight Princess is really high up there. for
Yeah, you like it a lot.
Yeah,
You
I
love
love
the
it.
original.
For a lot of hardcore players of the series, and just in general, people that haven't played any other Legend of Zelda game, Zach, the one you've played.
That's the only one I've played,
Yeah, that's the
dear
one
listeners.
you've played. It's Twilight Princess.
But I was a big
So-
fan, as I reinstate over
And
and
you
over.
would still
I was
get a lot
obsessed
out
with
of
it.
it. You would still be able to play Twilight Princess HD and be like, "Ah, yes, this is awesome. It's exactly as good as I remember. It's just a little bit
That's
better."
another question I was going to ask you. Did it live up to your original playthrough?
There's
Is it?
one thing that is so infuriating. It's honestly kind of ruining a lot of other aspects of the game for me. And I honestly don't know if this was as prevalent in the original games and I just wasn't paying attention. But the actual controls,
They're just
feel sluggish.
well.
They feel really sluggish
you're not
to me.
using. Are you using?
No, see,
what are you
that's the
using
thing.
to
You're
play?
not using the Wiimote this
Or
time.
the nunchuck, right?
But no, so you're not using the
You're
nunchuck.
just using the
You're
controller.
just using the gamepad, or you can use the Pro controller, which is just like a standard controller.
Right.
So I do definitely miss being able to slash my arms around and have that actually be how Link fights.
Yeah,
in
I was
the
going to say
game.
I would.
That would be
I
cool.
would.
I would be sad to miss that.
Yeah,
I
and
would. I
it's-
would. You could probably argue that that's a huge downgrade
is.
because
No.
that was going through the game. That was a big component of it. Was you swinging your own arm and
Yeah.
being more connected with
I mean,
Link.
that was like the introduction to the new Wii system.
It was. It was
It
huge
was
for
a
them.
bridge game. It was from GameCube
Now,
introducing the Wii.
Can you go back and play? Can you put in your Wiimote and nunchuck and play it the
You
old way?
can't. No.
Well, oh, you
Oh,
can't.
wow.
Because it gives you the options. When you start up the games, it says, do you want to use the Wii U gamepad or are you
Or
using the Pro
Pro
controller?
controller.
Oh,
And
so
those
you
are
could
the
start a
only
new
two
game.
options.
You could. Oh, okay. So never mind.
No,
never
you
mind,
can't.
Never mind.
No.
There's no option for it. at
That I feel
As
like
far
it's
as
a
I
weird
know, there isn't.
missed
If
opportunity.
I'm missing it, someone please
Yeah.
tell me because that would be great.
So I bet you it feels probably like a totally different game.
It does.
I used to
It feels
stand up
very
when I
different.
played all the
and
time.
so the actual
Got
motion.
some exercise.
I did. I did. I was like, I must
I think
stand.
that was the point.
Yes.
So the actual motion in game even feels just slower. Just overall, it feels like you're not moving at the same pace.
Interesting.
Which is weird because I could just be remembering it wrong.
Right.
You never know.
Who
It
knows?
could
Yeah.
just be me. But then, so the actual gameplay is different in that way. And Epona, your horse, is impossible. You can't go
You can't-
anywhere on that stupid
you can't
horse.
control?
Like you can, but it's noticeably more difficult. Like if
Well, that
you
was a-
Like just
And
oversensitivity,
again-
no,
or
it's,
like
no, it's not as responsive at all.
And that's
you
that's a
have to-
huge component of the game too. There's
It
plenty
is.
of battles you get to while you are on the horse with your bow and arrow, and you're
No,
flying through a
yeah,
field.
It's,
That's a
it's
huge component.
infuriating. So when you're actually on the horse, I find that I am having to stop, get off Epona,
fight.
on the ground because
How?
I can't do
Well,
it
that's
on.
no fun. That's
And I
interesting.
know I'm not the only one that's had this problem because a few of the other blogs I do follow are like, oh my God.
This is a big issue.
So it's not just me this time. It's definitely other people having the same
I
problem.
wonder if that'll get fixed in like a patch later on or something like that.
I don't know. I don't know how Nintendo
I was
really
about to
handles
say,
that stuff.
That's not really Nintendo.
not really a
stuff.
Nintendo
style.
thing.
Yeah, it's
There's
like,
always
this
the
is-
chance that they might, because like with Splatoon, they do. They fix
Yeah.
stuff all the time in updates.
But that makes sense
But-
because it's a big online
yeah,
player,
it's an online
like
game and
multiplayer
it's
thing.
totally different.
I
It's
could
not
see this
it's its
being
own
what it
thing.
is, you know.
Yeah. So
Well,
you
that's
can take it or
interesting.
leave it. I would definitely say that you can keep playing your old version and be just fine.
Yeah.
But if you are of a collector's mindset, or if you've never played the game before, this is a fantastic time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the ability, definitely still get it. I still do believe that it is worth the money. And for collectors like me, it's also worth it to get all of the optional stuff.
Yeah, because you got like the big
Yeah, like
collector's
the
Yeah.
edition,
fancy
right?
new-
new-
you were
the-
sending us those
I went
photos.
all out. I was like,
Yeah.
how much stuff can I get with the bundle?
Oh no, I get that. So yeah, that's what I was going to ask because no, I have not played. I mean, we've talked about this before.
Ooh,
I've
but
not,
this would be a
I've
good
not
time,
played.
Jarrett.
I
This
know.
would be a good time.
All
so
you have to do is
especially
gift it
for
to him.
people,
Gift him your old one.
Yeah.
How about that?
it's not- well, okay.
Jared's like,
well,
shit.
I don't
Now
know.
I have to play it.
And I'm not sure
My
I
Wii
will.
broke.
I still have my original copy. That's not going anywhere.
No, I would not take that
So-
from you.
You
But no,
cannot
I'm
even
just
look at it.
I'm just saying. So yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Is like as someone who has not played it before, would you recommend? Would you say go back to the old version and play that, or would I be just
No,
fine
I
playing
would
the
say
new one?
go ahead and get the new
Might as
version.
well. It's
Yeah,
gonna
just
look
might as well
better.
go for it. Get the newer
Yeah.
version. Get the prettier experience because with the Legend of Zelda games, a big component of it for me is the visuals.
Yes.
Right,
honestly,
right.
I'm walking around going, yes, what a beautiful day in Hyrule Field. So nice out. So it's
Well,
definitely.
how? Let me ask how far you are.
I just got to the Lakebed Temple again, so I'm really not that far along.
Okay.
You get to the point where you get like the 3 fused shadows, which is right about where I am.
Okay.
So I'm definitely playing it at a slower pace.
Okay.
Like I'm not
But you're
breezing
taking it
through
in.
Yeah, and part of that is because I'm not using the guide very much, so I'm running around in circles going, "What's new?
Sure, yeah,
What's
you're
here that
exploring
wasn't here
more.
before?" Because there is definitely newer stuff. So it's fun to go through and be like, "Am I just not remembering, or is this actually new?" It's like a fun little self gamer quiz.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the little egg woman chicken thing, what are we calling that? What was the name of that thing again?
Her name is Uku.
Uku. I was reminded of a character that I had totally forgotten about until you mentioned that. Was the guy near the lake that has this cannon? What's his
what is
name?
his name?
Yeah, he
It's
comes in
like,
later in the game.
they
You're not
are
that far,
so
right?
Funny.
Yeah,
It's him and his other accomplice guy,
Yeah.
and they like run
they're
this.
so funny.
I want to say that one of them is Faber.
Maybe
Fabre.
I don't know.
And I forget the
I
other
don't
guy's name, but they're hilarious.
They are, and that's a great because
And
that
I
cannon
can't-
like what shoots you back.
Yeah,
to
they have the cannon that shoots you to the
Somewhere.
city in the sky. I
Yeah,
think
that's
it's
what-
just
maybe
it's
that's what-
called.
okay,
And
maybe
that's
that's what
where
it is.
Uku lives, and it's like,
Uh-huh.
oh, thank God, we finally got rid
Yeah,
of
we
her.
get you home.
She's
Bye.
back home. You
Thanks
can
for
stay
thanks for
here.
nothing. And she's like,
And please stay with your horrible sky
yes,
people.
you're all gross.
It's
Bye.
super gross. And
I do
that's
remember that thing.
That's
It's
actually
creepy.
my most hated dungeon in the game too. So
The sky?
I can't wait to get it over with. Oh no, is it called Skyview Temple?
No, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, now I'm not sure.
You'll know better.
I
than
hate
will.
it. I hate it when I can't get something right. I'll figure it out.
Nice.
So,
So overall, you would approve.
Overall, I would
Yeah.
approve.
Now,
some
but
slight
they're
misgivings.
definitely- Really, my
I say the controls is the biggest thing.
Sounds like the
'cause
biggest thing,
visuals,
yeah.
I would say, like, I remember
Yeah.
playing the old one, unless memory is like embellished it. I remember thinking it's a good looking game regardless.
is.
You don't like the HD remakes probably looks a lot better, but you still get a lot out of the old one. And like honestly, personally, I would not want to lose the nunchuck Wiimote.
Yeah,
I really
it's a
I really
big-
That would-
enjoyed
for me,
playing the
since-
game like that.
It-
Yeah,
it's
I would.
sad.
I would
Slashing
like
and-
to have
and
that.
so one of my other complaints is that in addition to not having the nunchuck anymore, the Wii U gamepad has the screen on it,
Right.
And it does
What's
actually
on that
come.
screen?
So it's the map now.
Oh,
so you
that's
can
kinda
look
nice.
down into your hands, and you've got your map, and you can toggle back and forth between that and your
Like
item
items,
screen.
yes,
Yeah,
which
your
is
items.
really nice.
That's nice.
So
Yeah.
that's interesting, but in terms of the map, the gamepad has the ability to draw on it. It has a stylus.
Oh.
You can interact with it, which I feel like, why can't I take notes on my screen?
Yeah.
Because something that frequently happens is if your wallet is not big enough, or if you encounter a puzzle that you can't quite get to yet because you don't have an item, I really would have liked to have had the ability to mark it on my map. Just to be
yeah.
able to draw something really quick, because obviously Nintendo does that all the time with the DS games. And with the
Yeah.
gamepad, I just feel like that was a missed opportunity for some additional interface.
Okay.
Nice.
So, 7 out of 10
Yeah.
overall.
7 out of 10. We promised we weren't going to do numerical ratings.
No,
but there
I
it is
already
anyways.
thought about it in my head. I was like, I'd give it a 7.
Yeah,
All right.
but like that. But I like what you were mentioning earlier. It's a comparison to another remake, the Wind Waker
Yeah.
remake. I think that's a good bubble to put it in, rather than comparing it to like
Yeah,
other
'cause-
Zelda games, which wouldn't really make
exactly,
sense
it's not
because you
really
would
the
probably
same.
give, if you were to give a numerical value to the original Twilight Princess, it'd probably be
Oh my
I'm
god,
guessing like a- yeah, it'd be the
9.99999
nines.
out of 10.
Exactly. You know, it's
You
a-
wouldn't just go ahead and give it the 10 masterpiece?
No,
right now, and it does a
because
good
that's Wind Waker. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
10.
right.
I
That's the pinnacle. So, but I'm just happy to hear that it's done a good job of keeping you immersed like the original one. It sounds like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
still like it has all the same charm and magic.
It definitely
that
does.
You remember it having.
And even so, in terms of just the characters themselves, that's where all the charm comes from
Yeah.
for me. So having that additional aspect of having them even sharper and more vivid than before is
Right,
like,
it helps a lot.
yes, this is awesome. So in that sense, it is still a really awesome game. Still definitely worth it.
Cool.
Cool.
Twilight Princess, and you've been excited for this for a while.
I have been really
So it's
excited.
probably nice that
and
you-
so taking my amiibo out of the box was a struggle.
Yeah.
I had
you
to
wanted to
sit
keep
there
it
and look at
clean.
it and go, but can I? Do I really need
do
it?
I really
And
want to?
for a while, I tried to actually use it through the box with the gamepad. I was like, maybe it'll read.
That's so funny. It's
And
like
it
a
did-
skit or something.
Did not work. I was like, dang it. I think they did this on
It's going
purpose.
to lose value.
I know it's already lost so much value.
Very nice. So that was Mogan's review of Twilight Princess HD.
Hopefully, I've set the bar low enough for reviews that it can only get
I thought
better
that was
from
a
here.
very,
No,
very
that was great.
Very well
I mean,
done.
Yeah, I mean it's different because it's a remake. Obviously, like
Yeah.
you said, if you wanted to go into the game, the original one with if you wanted to go into the HD remake, the same amount that you could go into the original one, you'd have a lot more to say. Obviously,
we
about
would
it.
have
But
3 hours of
that's
content.
yeah.
We would break it up into like 3 episodes of a podcast.
Right.
You're like, let's talk about the timeline
Have
first,
you
see where we're
specifically
at.
talked about Twilight Princess in other episodes
You know,
in depth?
I
Like,
think-
have you
I
ever
think you did.
chosen it as a game of like your top 3 lists?
Oh,
Yeah, we
God,
did a
have
couple. I think we did a couple weeks ago.
I
A
don't
few
know.
weeks
Which
ago, we
one,
did.
though?
I know you did Wind Waker.
I think
as your,
favorite campaign mission.
Oh, yeah, I guess
you
I
did,
did.
You did go into a little bit, but you never talked to like Yeah, I guess that's true. They
I
don't
haven't
campaign
talked
missions.
about it that much on its own as
No,
its own thing.
you haven't.
No.
Maybe that'll be
That'll
be for
yes.
another
We have
time.
to. Yeah, we'll have to wait a couple episodes
Yeah,
before
yeah.
we go back into it. We
I'll
got to put
do
it in
a
the vault.
review of the original one.
Separate our
Yeah.
Zelda
Yeah,
topics
break
out.
it up.
So, yes, that was very good. I
Very
liked
good.
it.
Yes.
I liked
Now
learning
we'll
about
get
it.
it for Jarrett, and he has to play it. I would love to replay it. I've
need
been
to.
dying.
Yeah,
I've
I mean,
said
if
that
you were
many times.
if you were ever going to, now is
I
obviously
know,
the
but
time.
I have to get a Wii U. That's the issue.
Oh,
I would
well,
have to
just-
buy a
just
Wii U.
Shell out the cash.
Shut up and do it.
just do it. Just
No
shut up
excuses
and do
but
it.
money.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is a really good excuse.
It actually might be the best
It's the
excuse
top
there is.
excuse. It's why it's taken us so long to even do one of
Yeah.
these review
Yes.
episodes because
Yes.
it's like we
Because
need
we don't have
money.
any single
We can't get
console in
these
common.
games. Even the Division, which I've just spoiled again.
Oh, come on. I was
it goes-
even.
It's a
They
perfect
know.
segue. It's
It's a segue.
I know.
But
I'm
even
just
that,
kidding.
I remember talking about this before the game came out because I think we recorded the night before it came out.
Yeah, of
an episode.
of an episode. Yeah,
And we were talking about it. And we were like debating whether or not we were going to get it, just because of the. We were just like, I don't know if I really want to put up the money for it.
yeah. Because I mean, granted, yeah, there was a legitimate thing. Me, for one, is like I have the Xbox, but I haven't jumped in and gotten the full year of Xbox Live yet.
Right,
So, I was
so
like,
that was
I gotta
double
get
another
that
thing.
and pay the money for the game and all that stuff.
It's a tough decision.
Yeah, but
We did.
moving into we did, and that
both
brings us
did.
to our second
Yes.
review, which is Tom Clancy's The Division.
Yes.
Which
I
we
actually
both
did
played
not
it.
know it was a Tom Clancy game.
It
at
is?
all.
Really?
I had no
Really?
idea.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was just the Division.
Tom,
Period.
I don't even know
I
what
mean,
that
we're going
means
to refer
anymore.
we're going to refer
be
to it
honest.
from now on as just The
The
Division,
Division.
so we don't have to keep
Let's
saying
refer
Tom
to
Clancy's The Division.
No, we should call it Tom Clancy's.
Tom Clancy.
TCTD.
I don't even know what Tom Clancy like. They just can put that on anything. Like I don't even
He's
know.
a brand at this
I know.
point.
He's just a name.
Maybe he doesn't even know he has a new game out.
He
I
doesn't
think
because
he's
he's
passed
dead.
away,
He's
Mogan.
passed away. That's
I
very.
don't know anything.
That's
I don't
very.
know.
That was
rude
very
of you.
insensitive.
That's very not PC.
Well, then he definitely doesn't know.
Not politically correct, Mogan.
So, anyway,
How do you want to tackle this, Jared?
so let's see. So Zach and I both played it on the Xbox
Yes.
One, and we played online with a little bit with each other.
we did.
Now,
so
quick
experience.
experience
question.
it.
Quick question from an outsider perspective. So I know virtually nothing about the Division or Xbox.
That's good
So
because I
you
knew virtually
actually-
nothing about Twilight Princess.
Yeah. So you actually do have to. You have to have Xbox Live to be able to play it at all.
It has to have constant internet connection. Yes,
Ooh.
which
Oh,
has
is that
become
true?
Which has become a big thing.
I didn't
in
even
this
think
game.
about that.
Yeah.
I guess that is true. I didn't even think about
Which
that.
has become a bigger thing in games, but this is another one like that because especially like when entering the Dark Zone, which is a PvP area where so if you didn't have internet, you couldn't go into the Dark Zone because it takes
Yeah.
away a huge part of that area. And
Well, let's back up though.
let's
How-
not go too far. But
Yes.
yes, you do have to have the internet for a long
Right.
time.
Yes. Back to what you were saying that we played it. We got it same time. Played it a little bit together
On launch day.
On launch day. So we tried to give ourselves because when we decided to do this, we're like, hey, let's actually give this a chance and let's try to figure out if we can review this thing.
Yeah.
And so just to give a little bit of context of where we are currently, I am a level 13.
Which we recorded this yesterday. It's Tuesday now when you're listening to it. We recorded
Yes,
this on
this
Monday.
is
So it's
Monday.
been a week since it was launched.
Oh,
Right.
God,
And-
talking into the future.
know.
Well, I know. What,
That took some time to
what
process
happening?
where
Hello,
I was
Zach.
going.
I know you're listening.
So yeah, so the game, when you're listening to this, the game has been out for a week.
Yes, and now I should say most people, and not most people, but a lot of people that I encounter are higher ranked.
Yes,
I
same with me.
would not say that we sped through this game
No.
so far. You
No.
know, I'm taking my time, and I've given as much time as I can to play, balancing other life things, obviously.
Right,
You know,
me
so I
too.
want to say that before
I was
we
out of
give
town
a
this
full
last
review.
weekend, so like I
Right.
didn't get to play really at all this weekend.
Right. But that being said, I think we talked a little bit before the episode that we both feel like we have a pretty decent grasp on what the game is, how it functions, where it might go in the future, and overall, like what we kind of think of it.
Yeah, so I'm right now standing at a little under a level 10. I have like a couple thousand more experience points to go before I hit a level 10.
Yeah.
I've gone into the Dark Zone at least once now because I wanted to do that before we reviewed, before we talked about it on this episode. And I've played for about 11 and a half hours.
Okay.
So
I'm just a little bit further than you.
Yeah, yeah.
Essentially. Now, I guess we can describe just to people
Yeah,
that haven't played
describe
it.
it.
we should give like a without
it-
giving spoilers or anything like that. We should talk about like what the story is,
Yes.
like what all that different stuff.
Right.
So,
but in a very, and we'll compare, I think this will come back more as we talk about this, in very much the same way Destiny starts. You kind of wake up in Boston, right? Or
New
Brooklyn.
York City.
Really?
New York City.
Or
Yeah, in Brooklyn, in New York City.
Yeah, but you're not
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the game. The main game takes place in Manhattan. So what
Right.
what you're doing in Brooklyn is a tutorial like thing, and you kind of wake up and
it's where you get your character creator and all that stuff to jump
and you are a like nameless, voiceless protagonist throughout the game. You don't
my favorite kind of
right. You don't say anything. You just kind of are
say
told
things
what
with
to do
bullets.
with bullets. Yes,
I
you
like
do.
it.
Say it with
Yes.
lead.
Which is something I do want to talk about. Like, I think it's we'll come back to the idea of like how much violence is involved in trying to quote unquote save the city. It's a very weird concept that like rubs me the wrong way.
It's
sometimes.
like you're saving the city by killing a whole bunch of stuff in the city.
Yeah, it seems a little bizarre. But
Which
we'll
granted,
get
you're
back to
killing
that.
enemy forces, but yeah.
But what it does at the beginning is it gives you one of those famously that movies do, like a montage of the world plunging into chaos. Now, even here, I was already a little bit confused as to exactly what happened. I know a virus was released. I don't know if it was man-made or if
It looked like from the opening cinematic,
Which is quick.
man-made. Yes, it's very quick.
all-
It
it's-
it shows like a scientist dropping what you assume is a drop of the virus
Yes.
on like a $20 bill.
Right,
And
and
like
that sounds
onto
like
a bunch of things, because the whole thing is it took place on Black Friday. They tainted all this money, and then
So
Black
it's a
Friday
metaphor
happens.
for capitalism.
oh, it's all that
Gotcha.
stuff they try to incorporate, and they do a very actually successful job.
Yeah, and so
But yes, but
and yeah,
you
so
must,
then it spreads quickly, and it's like Christmas time, like very soon after, or something like that, or maybe a year or so after. I'm not quite sure on the timeline of when you kick in.
That's another thing I'm a little bit confused by. I'm a little bit confused by how far this thing has spread, though I think I've seen some of the recap videos I've seen as stuff you're collecting. It's gone across at least America, the United States. But yeah, but I think you're right. You are right that it was during Black Friday. A virus put on this money that was dispersed over like the course of the day.
We'll just throw out Black Friday. How much
Right.
money changed hands? And
Absolutely,
it
it's
comes
like
in
the
contact
perfect
with so
time to
many
do it.
people. Yeah.
So even then, like from the get go, it's like I already got the sense that Ubisoft had put a lot of time and care into this story. It seems like this was something that they really cared about, and that's something that I see throughout the game too, in the environment, in the voice acting, the characters, the look of it. I feel like this is a game that Ubisoft is going to put a lot of investment in.
I think they're setting it up very much because it is a very similar style game, or in like in genre to like Destiny.
Yes.
We're probably going to make a lot of comparisons to that in this, and so they do have to really set up this world that you're going to be in,
Right.
for
And that's
at
a make
least
it or
a
break
couple
it.
of years,
Right. And that's such a make it or break it whether or not this, because a lot of the story comes from simply the environment. Like the whole atmosphere comes more from the environment than the cutscenes of people telling you what's going on. A lot of that is just a catalyst to get you to do something else, which you do essentially care about, and exponentially so compared to Destiny.
Yes.
That
although
was-
I still will say I don't. Like, I do the missions and all that stuff,
Okay,
but I'm not
yeah.
like super invested in the story.
Right. Now,
that's
I'm
not
actually-
the big hook for me in this game.
Right. I kind of get what you're saying. And this is a big thing that I've thought about a lot too. Yeah, when I do the missions and the story's attempting to progress, like me helping my mother base, or like me attempting to like rally people
The
together.
base of operations, not mother
yes,
base.
whatever.
It's not Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Metal Gear Solid. You're right. I do feel a little bit of a lack of investment, like of what exactly I am doing, why I'm doing it, and really what I'm doing it like for.
Now, does this vagary seem to be intentional? Like, are they
Possibly.
building to a mystery something?
I mean, there is
or-
some mystery. You're hunting down, like, I know at one point you're going to have to hunt down this doctor. I haven't got to it yet, who they think is behind the outbreak of the virus,
Gotcha.
who, like, created it and all that stuff. And you'll get to all that. But basically, like, the background for the Division is it's like this group of, like, sleeper agents across the whole country that are only activated in times of desperate need. They're just like, it's like they could be your friends, your neighbors.
Well, okay.
Like, in the opening
now,
montage.
so
Like,
did the,
cool.
okay. Well, let
Yeah.
me ask you this because I'm also confused about this. Did the Division exist before all this happened?
yes.
Okay,
Because
so
like
this
in the opening
cutscene-
montage,
right,
and
where they're
stuff,
like,
it
there's
shows
a guy
like all
drinking at
the
a bar.
Yeah, and it shows their watches light up with the
Right.
symbol and stuff
Oh,
like that.
fancy.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, it's go time. We
Well, I
gotta
get
go.
that, but I'm just asking.
So it's like, yeah,
did
it
this-
existed. I just don't. I think this is the first time it was actually called out. Is the kind of the thing
What do you mean called? Like
Like,
put into practice?
put into practice. Yeah. I think it's been there. It's been like this fail safe, and now they actually have the reason to activate it.
Okay, well, that's another thing that I get confused about is how this disaster that has plunged Manhattan into like blackness and like, I mean, the streets are littered with cars. There's trash
Bodies.
bags everywhere, bodies. There's like chaos has like become the norm in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yet I never get the sense that I have no idea how normal people are experiencing this aside from civilians walking around the streets who some seem perfectly calm, some seem very like worried.
Just
Freaked
going
out.
about
Some
their
get
daily
shot down by
business.
riders. By
And
the
yeah,
enemies
what they're
and stuff
essentially
like that.
surrounded by is a war zone where
Yeah.
people are constantly shooting at each other, and I just cannot grasp. I have no real
Like, why are they
understanding.
still there?
Well, are people living in like how do people live besides unless you're involved with the division or if you've picked one of the factions to join? I really don't.
I think it's just your typical post-apocalyptic setting.
So are
people
people
are
just
getting by in the
inside?
best way they can get by.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no
the
order. There
virus
is.
itself, what does it do?
I
Does
think
it
they
just
call
kill
it
you?
they call it the green flu. I think
See,
a couple
I
times.
don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think you just get sick and really sick.
So this
and die.
isn't like a zombie.
So you do
thing.
get
just
sick
die.
and
It's not
You're just
zombie.
regular dead.
Yeah, just regular dead. You don't come back.
Okay. But these are questions that in these I know they sound petty, but they actually
No, I agree.
They like kind of radiate out for me to get because what the game does so well is it feels like all is lost. It's total chaos, and you're really going through a really desolate environment, which is beautiful at the same time because they've done such a great job with Manhattan and the lighting and it's constantly like snowing or flurrying, and it's really gorgeous.
Which
But
when it snows, it cuts down on your sight distance. And
all these
things.
wonderful things, but I do get a sense of like the bigger picture here. I'm a little lost of like what my place is in the bigger picture besides just trying to like help these people out.
Which
where
I've
I
heard
can.
that from a lot of people, like some other things in reviews I've watched online,
Yeah.
that a lot of people are kind of like, what is my bigger end goal?
Yeah.
I'm sure that will come out more with like future DLC.
That's very possible, and I'll give them the benefit of the
Granted,
doubt.
we're
And
only 12 hours in.
that's true. And I'll tell you,
You
what,
know.
and even though I'm like harping on this stuff, it does not really hinder the experience in like the total sense. Because
No.
honestly, I get a lot out of, and this is something that I really like what the Division does. As you're moving through the city, you essentially, and just real quick, Mogan, like you will not see other people if outside the dark zone, which is really like think of
Other players.
other players, other people, but you will see enemies, but you'll not see other real people like me, like other players online.
Gotcha.
Unless you matchmake with them.
Unless you match, so really all it is a single player / co-op game.
Yes.
and that's,
Okay.
but it's also free roaming. So if you match up with, when me and Jerrett matched up, we stuck together. But essentially, I could go south and he could go north and do whatever he wanted, and I could do whatever I wanted.
Yep.
That's my kind of game.
It's cool.
It's great. It's very seamless in how
It's
it works.
very
in.
seamless.
It's not like a. It's not like a matchmake. Other co-op games where like if one player is really good and they dominate and you're like tied to them.
Yeah.
You know, you're like forced to kind of like jump ahead to a checkpoint if they get to that
Right.
checkpoint.
It's much more open world and like you get a lot more decisions to make, which I like a lot. Unless you go into the dark zone, which I think we can talk a little bit later. But
Yeah.
the dark zone's like a totally different.
The dark zone is basically the multiplayer environment
Yes.
of the game,
Mm-hmm.
like a competitive multiplayer
Yes.
environment.
Now I was going to say something before I was talking about what were
Just people just walking around.
people just walking around, overall sense of destruction, chaos, like what's
Yeah.
happening.
It's the worst when
Shit.
you lose a thought.
Yeah, I know. Because I did want to touch on how the game feels when you're walking around. That like essentially all you do is run into civilians.
feels desolate.
Or it does feel desolate. You know, it feels like there's really nothing going on.
And you have no idea, like in game, what the scope of the total death toll is. Like you don't know how much percentage of
You
population.
know a
has
lot
been
because you
wiped
come
out.
across a couple areas where there are just a ton of body bags and like
I know what I was
So
gonna
like, what
say
are we
too.
thinking? 60, 70%?
See, I don't know if I could really give an accurate
Yeah, I don't-
guess.
I
But
don't know.
what I was going to say actually is the way they tell the story in talking about how the game does this seamless transition so well. A lot of the story is told as you're playing over voiceover or things that you can find called echoes. Now, you've seen those echoes.
Those are cool.
Those are really cool. Those, and like they're not gimmicky. They're not like something you really want to ignore. Basically, they're little things that you find in random like intersections on the ground. And if you activate it, a hologram appears of what happened in that area, like weeks ago.
Like a clash with
fancy.
police or something like that.
Yeah, anything like any faction that is like, because for example, one of the factions they're called cleaners, and they are equipped with flamethrowers, most of them. And they, to my guess, this is what I've gotten out of it. They believe that if you are infected in any way, you should just be killed.
Because
Oh, Jerrett
they
told me
basically
about
want to burn out the disease.
They want to
from
burn
New
it
York
out,
City.
which is obviously I don't condone, but like I like that there's some believability in their actions. You know, it's
Yeah.
like
No, it's like in
they're-
this big cataclysmic event, people would be like, okay, we don't really have a whole lot of doctors, we don't have a whole lot of
Right,
medicine.
if
Like,
we
how
just
do we
get
take
rid of
care of
these
this? Again, not condoning,
not condoning,
but
but
like that is a very real.
they're
element.
not just quote unquote bad guys. You
Yeah.
know, they have a real mission statement. Which, and when you do fight the sweepers in some of the missions, and you'll fight bosses that are their leaders, you do get a real sense of what they're kind of going after, why you should stop them. But they like, well, you know, they have. I'm just thinking of one in particular when I'm about to like kill a bunch of bad guys that belong to the sweepers. The guy is like, you cannot let these division people just stop what we've been working so hard. It's like he has a speech that he gives his men, and you're listening to it. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
and
like you
not
can
that he has
see
a
it
point,
from his
a twinge of
perspective.
guilt.
Though.
but yeah, it's like that world exists in and of itself, and they do, and like that's a tough thing to do, I think, for games. But they do a good job of establishing that without actually you seeing it.
And you
it
don't
just
get
comes
to,
in bits
like,
and pieces.
You don't have the option to join those people because that's the team I would.
You don't,
I would
but
line up
I do
with.
think I was talking to a friend and he said something similar. He's like, it'd be a lot cooler if I could kind of join whatever I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
do. And
wanna
I was like,
get
yeah, it
on-
would be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Defect from the division to join
I agree,
the
I
cleaners
do
or
get
that.
what's the other group?
There's
the
Rikers.
Rikers. That's
But then there's just standard rioters, which are mainly the people that you run into with like baseball bats, like looting bodies. They're just, and coming back to my iffy feelings about handling rioters, you just mow them down.
yeah,
They'll shoot at you first, but like really,
they're pretty easy to take on.
They are easy to take on.
If you get a big group, I have many times been beaten down more by the guys with bats. Surprisingly,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
because
They'll charge you.
I'll be focusing on taking down a guy with a gun over here, and a guy will run up behind me, which I really like. Like it's annoying, but it's it's good because it's like that means the AI is intelligent enough
There's a lot
to
of
know not
variety.
to just run up.
There's enough variety to keep me coming back. Like I don't think it's that stale, though. Granted, some of the missions are repetitive. Some of the side missions are. It's like
you go here, you kill everybody in your way, and then you complete some small action.
But they're diverse enough where it feels different every time. And when you have people with you, teamwork does become a pretty big part because you can go down and you have to get revived in order to keep going, all that jazz. But go ahead.
And to touch on that too is one thing that I really liked because I've done it where like you and I have just played a mission together. I've also done it where I had 3 companions because you can have
random
like up
people.
to 4
I do that all
random
the time.
people.
And that's really
it's not again coming back to my other thing about what I said about the co-op is it doesn't feel unbalanced. Like even when you come with a boss and stuff like that, like the bosses are still hard. Even with 4 people.
They are. Like I that's one of my biggest pros about the game is the difficulty I found in it, and especially in a comparison to Destiny, I feel so much more
Destiny
of a
I felt like
challenge.
in the story mode, like I would run into a couple like difficult parts, but for the most part I could beat anything by myself. I didn't need help.
Right.
Whereas this game, the enemies will scale in rank with you, so they get harder as you get harder.
Though Destiny did that too, but for some reason it didn't come off the same way.
No, it didn't. These guys, like, I legitimately have sometimes run into, like, one time I was playing and I was just walking through the streets at night and I came across a group of cleaners and I was by myself and I was like, oh, no big deal. I've handled a group like this. It turned out to be like a group of 8 dudes.
Yeah.
Like, I saw 3 at first and I didn't have the pulse ability equipped at the time, so I couldn't like do a scan and see what it was. And yeah, I thought it was like 3 guys. Turned out to be like 8, and there was a boss with them, like one of the yellow guys. Because there's the normal just red, and they're just like standard enemies. Then there's purple, and they're tougher. And then there's
like
yellow, which is like elite guys. And he was like a level 11 or something like that. And I tried multiple times to do it, and I got killed 3 or 4 times.
It's hard
trying to do that part. Then I came back during the day to that same area, and there weren't as many there, I guess, because it was the day, and I was able to kill a guy then, which I kind of was like, damn, I really wanted to take them all out, but still, but I was just like, oh, I've never really encountered that in Destiny.
Right, and another thing, I could probably compare this to Destiny too, but what the game does, which I've really been looking for a game to do this for a long time, is make cooperative play not a necessity, but something that you prefer to do. Instead of like fighting against each other, like even though in the single player / co-op side of the division outside of the dark zone, you can't fight against each other.
Right.
But for example, me and 3 random people were playing, and we did get to a boss fight, and we just kept dying over and over and over until finally we all waited to go in there, and like we weren't talking on the mics, but you got this sense that like, okay, like we're actually going to have to work together this time, and we really did. Like we really started to like help each other, and like it's really one of the only games that I've played in recent memory that cooperative play is much more exciting than like wanting to kill these people.
I normally
impressive.
hate cooperative play.
Really?
Like Far Cry 4 is a recent game that I can think of that has cooperative play. Well, then obviously like Halo and stuff like that. But normally if it's a game like Far Cry, no, I don't want to play with somebody. I want to do it on my own because I'm always afraid that the person that's going to come on is going to be wicked good and just kill everything and take all the loot and all this stuff before I can get to it. Because that always happened to me before in like older games whenever I play co-op, even with like friends. If they were better than me, they'd get all the good stuff and I wouldn't.
Right.
So
it's a deep-seated resentment that has been grown inside you.
It really is. And so, but no, like we played co-op. I want to say I played co-op with you first before I played it with anybody else. And even then, I was just like, this feels very balanced. I feel like I'm still very much in control of what happens to me. You share resources. Like, so if one player finds
Loot's,
a loot
individual
crate,
for each person.
and it's like consumables like water or like med kits and stuff like that. It's like you get those and they're like shared equally. It's the kind of thing like that. But you get your own specific unique drops if you kill a guy and
based
stuff
on
like
your
that.
level and like based on where you are in the game, you'll get different things.
Right, and so, but no, the co-op seems very seamless and very fluid, and and I have not hated it. I don't mind it at all.
I think they did a really good job with it, and it's exciting for me to actually play co-op and not get the feeling of competitiveness. It's much more of helping each other
Much
out.
more of a team member. Like I remember one of the I want to say it was, I can't remember which. It was one of the very early on missions that you and I played together, and I knew that there was this part where you're going among all these cars, and there's like a bridge thing above you, and it had like 3 guys on it who had a really good vantage point of us, and you were keeping them in cover, and we had another guy with us, I think.
Did he
go and you were keeping them in cover, and I was able to go up on the side and just like wipe out all those guys, and then I had this huge vantage point, and I was able to provide cover fire to you and our teammate as you guys pushed up on the ground.
Right.
And it was just seamless, and I was like, damn, this is how it's supposed to work.
Right, this is how I want a game to feel. And that's a lot of those moments have already happened to me. There's been 3 or 4 very memorable moments like that. And I crave that stuff in games. Like, hey, remember when we fought that one guy? Like, remember how hard that already happened to me 2 nights ago. Like, me and my buddies, we like could not get past this guy. Like, it was so hard for us. We all kept going down. I know we're going to like keep making fun of that moment. Like, remember how hard that was? You know, so I like that that's a big part of the game too.
Yeah. No, it's really
a real challenging game. And also like walking through New York City is amazing. I think they did it seems like a game made with love. It does not seem a game like they
I do not get the attention it was rushed really at all.
No, I didn't get that feeling. And one of my favorite things to do, which I didn't really expect this, is not the majority, but a fair amount of buildings you can go into. And you can open doors and you can explore. You can go upstairs.
Finding those containment zones that have really good loot in them. And
You can go in there.
That's the kind of stuff
Right.
I like.
You can go into bedrooms and you can find clothes, cell phones that have messages. Like all these things you can find that add layers and layers to the story. You know,
That's what I
you can
like.
find their shirts and their hats and you can wear that stuff. And so it's cool that like I know it's weird. And that's coming back to like using guns to like fix the city. I get iffy about, and also like looting things.
the only
It's
answer.
like you're still looting. You're like also looting things.
I
It's also
saw a
like,
meme.
wait, I don't know how I feel about this.
I saw a meme online, and it just said it was like a gaming logic thing. It's just like you come upon rioters looting a store. You kill them, and then you loot the store.
Yeah, that's essentially kind of what you do, but you do it for the name of good.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
Which
But-
you do get the sense that like because when you the base of operations, when you are expanding that's a big part of the story is creating like a hospital and a tech zone and a security zone
by completing other missions throughout the map and stuff
you
like
build
that.
and
They give
build
you
and
points
build.
to be
I
able
was
to
like,
upgrade these
civic
sections.
engineering? What is this?
Because it's like you got to get the power back on. You got to have a medical base to
Yes,
help people who are
okay,
sick.
and somehow
Yeah.
you are the sole responsible person that can do all that. But
Yeah.
that's classic gaming. But I love the cutscenes there, and I love like there's a real honesty too. There's a lot of cursing. There's a lot of I don't know. There's just a real sense of like people are pissed off. People are like in a hurry. Like people
Yeah.
are like, this is really important. Even though if like the story doesn't exactly portray that as well as maybe it could, the environment and like the way that people act and tell you things, you do get a sense of real urgency.
My one main gripe to that has been, and it has not come up since then, but in the very beginning of like the first time I was playing it, you meet this other member of the division, Fei Lao.
Yeah.
And if she said, "We're going to take back this city one more time,"
Oh yeah. Yes.
oh my God, I was about to freak
gonna
out.
take back this
She just
city.
kept being like, you'd get into this vehicle and you'd get, or something, you'd cut to another cut scene, and she's like, "When, not if, we take back this city, we're gonna do it right, and we're gonna get this place back right. We love this city. We're gonna take
Yes.
it back." And I was just like, "Oh my God, we get it."
I get it. New Yorkers love New York. I know that. I know you New Yorkers.
She's like, "They told us not to get attached, but I did to
Yeah.
this city,
Yeah.
and we're gonna take it back."
It's like, and that was a weird beginning. It's like I'm in Brooklyn, and I'm like, when do I get to be in Manhattan? I was very
Yeah.
confused. I was like, what? Where does this game take place?
I
again?
assumed it was kind of like the setup.
I
and all
got
stuff,
that
but
like once it went forward a little bit. But the other part of the game, unless you want to talk about something else before we talk about the dark
He's got
zone.
a lot of notes written down.
no, this is just I was just looking over some stuff because I like took track of some pros and cons and all that stuff.
Because the dark zone's a totally different like beast.
Yeah, let's go ahead and jump into that. I'll save all this stuff for like wrap up thoughts.
So essentially, if you look at the map, it's lower Manhattan. It kind of cuts off before you get to Central Park. So it's not the entire city.
Oh, that's too bad.
Though, but here's like the other, and I think
It's still pretty damn expansive.
Well, I think I'm correct in saying this. I think it's the ratios like it has each street. It's not like Liberty City in GTA that only has like the major streets. I'm pretty sure, at least from what I've seen,
There's a lot of side streets, a lot of like random alleyways.
Right.
And
Like
stuff
when
like
I was noticing, I'm like going through 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th Street. Like it seems to hit every street. So even though it is just the southern side of Manhattan, it's like the entire southern side of Manhattan.
Yeah.
I got to be careful to say that because I'm not 100% sure. But that's at least how I felt. It feels expansive enough,
Right.
you know. But in the middle, like when you look at the map, there is an entire red zone that is, 30 blocks up and 10 blocks wide or so, and it's red. And you're not really enticed to go there until right where you are. Though I know you've already gone in there.
Yeah, I went in there because I wanted to get into there and experience it a little bit before we talk about it. So
But I think level 10 is when it's like, hey, go explore the dark zone. Or like, you should try to go in there, which is bullshit because I did that and I was following the game perfectly. And like I texted you, I walked like 10 steps. I got to the end of the block and I was like, ooh, hard enemies. And they killed me immediately. I was like, my God.
That's what happened with me is because I didn't realize, I didn't realize that was the PvP area of the game, and so like I walk in and some dude's there, and I like point out.
You
and
didn't realize it?
No, and
Really?
it said well because I hadn't got to that like actual setup for it in the game yet, but no, so like I pointed my gun at this and it said non-hostile agent. I was like, oh, that's another dude. Okay, cool, I get that. And then I walk forward a little bit more, and some riders start attacking me. And unbeknownst to me, another agent was already fighting them, and this dude turns around and runs at me. And so I think he's a rider. And I shoot him. I just quick draw and shoot him.
Part of the problem.
I know. And I kill him.
What
and
makes the dark zone scary.
And it says, you attacked another agent. You're now rogue.
You're an asshole.
You can now be hunted by other agents. And I'm like,
you're like,
no!
Oh, yes, Jerrett.
It was an accident.
That's the only way you'll learn.
And then,
There's no button for it was an accident.
No. And then
Revive.
My bad.
I like tried to go over and save him, but it was too late. He had died. And I was like, damn. But no. So basically, and so then I got swarmed by other agents and the bad guys and died very quickly.
And like how it essentially works. So if there's AI characters outside the dark zone that you can fight by yourself or cooperatively, when you go into the dark zone, it's the same. It's like there's still enemy AI characters that are just higher rank, so it's tougher. Some of your electronics get scrambled. I mean, it's a real transition. Even though it's seamless, it's just you hopping over a wall or going through a door. It's like things start to crackle out.
Oh, so there's no like load screen.
No,
Between.
there's no, which is
that's
great.
nice.
They did
There's
such
no
a
load
great-
screens anywhere except
you,
for
like,
when you
join another
respawn.
player.
Yeah, you join another player.
Yeah.
And
For
I
the
think
most
there
part,
might be a
it's very
small one
seamless.
in between cutscenes and stuff like for a cutscene. But yeah, no,
They do
it's very seamless.
I
So
which
is
I
it
like a lot.
possible for you to wander into the dark zone and not realize it?
No,
or does
I think
it like
you
get a real
have to go
sense.
through. You have to go through like a checkpoint because it's basically like, hey, you're about to go in here. You got to have like a certain contamination filter level.
It's like you are now entering the dark zone.
Oh,
Voice
okay.
like says that,
Okay.
and to give the credit to the game, the walls outside the dark zone are like draped with like contamination, like black drapes, and
Yeah.
like it's very kind
It's
of
very much like this is
it's
a
like a big
dangerous
wall.
place.
Yeah, so it's and like I love that. Like I really like that the game when you enter the dark zone. Like I was telling you guys earlier, like my immediate reaction is to hide immediately.
Yep.
Because I'm just like, oh my gosh, I know there's other players in here like me that could possibly kill me, and I know there's really hard AI people. And when I go in alone, I really feel like I'm alone. You know,
yeah.
I don't feel like I can walk around and do anything. I'm like, wow, I probably even shouldn't be here. You know?
Yeah, no, I walked in and immediately just pulled up my gun and like had it.
you're
And was
like,
just aiming down the sights
everything's out to
immediately.
kill me.
Yeah,
You know, I get very nervous. But that's what it's like. So it's like you may run into people and you might not. It's big enough where you get the sense that they could be anywhere or they could be on the other side of the map. I don't know the numbers of like how many people are in there when I'm in there. It doesn't
Oh, and
say.
it won't tell you.
I
There's
mean,
no,
it is.
Counter?
It is. Fortunately, it is ranked. And like you're not going to be a level like when I went in there, it says in there you're in rank because I'm a level 9 right now. So it's like you are in ranks 1 through 14.
Yes.
And so it's like I'm not going to run across a level 30 in there.
I guess
unless you
I guess that's not
went into
possible.
a level 30 area.
Right, I think you're right. But you do have a separate Dark Zone rank. So that's how the game really differentiates itself. You have a regular rank, but then when you get in there, like I'm a level 3 in the Dark Zone, for example, but I'm a level 13.
I'm a level 5.
You're a level 5? Maybe
Yeah.
Maybe I ranked up. I don't know. Wait a minute.
No, I'm better.
No,
it's cool.
The game
cool.
knows
Accept
who is
it.
better.
Accept it.
All hail the game. But that really has been some of the more exciting moments because it's been a while since I felt a game like this where the sense of danger is constant, real, And because what you can find in the Dark Zone is very valuable. That's where you get the best loot. That's where you get the best guns, best armor.
So there's a huge incentive to go in.
There's a huge incentive to go in, get the stuff by killing NPCs, and they'll drop it, or killing other players if you so choose to, but you become a rogue agent, and then there's like a bounty, and then people can actually kill you. So there's a great like dynamics that exist.
Now, when you go rogue, do you stay rogue until you
fortunately,
die?
you respawn. You stay rogue until you die.
Even if you leave the Dark Zone, then come
That's
back,
what
are
I
you
was
still
wondering.
rogue?
I wasn't
Yeah,
able
don't
to
know.
figure that
I don't know.
out because I was killed too quickly.
Yeah.
But
I can see Jerrett running down like Manhattan. So you get
sniper in the back of the head.
Rogue agents.
But no, so I was like, wait, am I just now branded that way forever? But then when I died and respawned, it's like, you are now no longer rogue. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, thank God.
I'm really
that
curious
makes
to
sense.
know if you can like unrogue yourself without dying.
We'll have to try it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
By
that's a
doing
good-
something good.
Do you, do you have to do
balancing
like a
your
bunch
karma.
of good Samaritan
I
deeds?
don't know. I think once you're rogue, you're rogue. If you kill an
Yeah.
agent, that's like bad news. You
Yeah.
shouldn't do that.
You should not
Even
do
though
it.
most people will probably, because, for example, let's say you find a great assault rifle in there. It's like a really powerful one, and you pick it up. You cannot just leave the Dark Zone with it. What you have to do is find a extraction zone, which are scattered throughout. Like, they're not always that close to you. You might have to travel a little bit, and just traveling in the Dark Zone is a mission
Very
in of
dangerous.
itself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's tough. And once you get there, you shoot a flare up, and then it's at least another minute and a half, 2 minutes
Ooh, really?
before a helicopter comes. And once you shoot a flare up, because this happened to me, but someone else shot a flare up. It says in the top left, like, someone's
And
extracting
shows you a
something.
point when to go.
And so that means
Oh,
everybody
it notifies everyone.
everybody now knows that
Oh,
this
that's
person has
terrible.
something and he is extracting it.
And it's probably
maybe
good stuff.
Maybe you want to
Because-
go check it out. And,
Because
and
that's the
people
only way
will
you can
swarm
get your loot out of the Dark Zone
Oh,
is because
that's
it's contaminated.
awful.
Yeah.
So you have to send it up into these helicopters, get it extracted out where it's decontaminated, and then you can use it. But yeah, so it's just like this.
You can imagine
call.
like the
Oh
cool,
my
like
gosh.
what can happen. It's
And you
very,
have to stay in that space until the helicopter
You have to stay.
comes?
I don't think
I-
you have
you
to
do.
stay in that space, but
You
you have
do.
to stay close at least.
You have to. It's like
Especially if you're the one
There's
who
there's a
didn't
point.
call
Yeah,
it.
because I left the space because I got swarmed. I was running away,
Ugh.
and it gave me like 12 seconds to get back in, or it wouldn't work. So
Oh, wow.
you do have to like stay in a certain.
I think it's
area.
like a quadrant. Yeah.
Yeah,
some-
there
some
is. So you
small
have
part
to
of it.
like essentially then defend waves of AIs
that is
may
sinister.
come. I know.
I
So you
like
can
it.
see like, and there's even things that like, at least how they advertise the games. You can be with me and Jerrett can be working together, and we're like, all right, let's do like we find something good. We're getting out of here, and then I'll just leave his group and kill him, and I'll take the loot for myself and just leave. Like that's something I could do.
You could do it.
I feel like you
Fortunately,
would.
Just the way you said it and looked at him, I could just tell.
So like because fortunately the first time I did an extraction and all that stuff, I was with a group of chill people. Like
Which I like.
They
I
were
like
all,
the
like, It was
idea.
like 4 guys and we all posted it. Like somebody called for the extraction and we all posted up and we're kind of like watching our backs, like moving around and all that stuff. Some enemies came, we easily took care of them because there were just so many of us. And fortunately, we didn't get run into any rogue guys.
Yes, that's nice.
So it worked out. It worked out pretty well.
I like
But no,
that
I'm
can
I'm
happen.
wanting to really explore the Dark Zone more because I think that's where I'm
Do
going
it.
to really want to stay.
Right,
For
it's a really
most of the
exciting
game because like
place.
I like the outside part, but if like that extra level of difficulty is going to
Right.
Oh, I
And just
thought you
what
meant the
can
moral
happen.
dark side.
No.
No, never mind.
No.
Yes.
I learned my lesson already about going rogue.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that
I
again.
want someone to
Hit
play the
somebody.
whole
No, I'll try.
game rogue.
I will try that
There's
just
probably
for
people like that.
for science. I will try it for
I'm-
science.
and I'm scared of them already.
Of staying rogue, of going rogue, and then seeing if you can leave the Dark Zone while rogue.
I like it.
Not if I let you. Not if I have something to say.
Well, damn.
I'll block you.
So another big part of the game that I want to touch on real quick is the like crafting and
Oh, yeah.
like
Oh,
your
yeah, all
inventory
that
and
stuff,
like
dude.
modding
Oh,
stuff.
that's a whole
So it's very,
part of it.
it's very in depth and it's a modding and crafting system that I actually care about and want to figure out the best way to do it.
Yes.
So like in other games with crafting, it's like, oh, I need this thing, I'll craft it. But in this one, it's really like you can get a gun and it can be very like here's its base level attack, and then it has all these slots for mods, which you can either craft the mods, buy the mods, or scavenge the mods, and then you can apply these to various things. Like right now, I'm using a military rifle that I have loaded out with like a silencer, an extended magazine, like a
scope.
stability grip, and like a scope
Yeah.
on it just to sight it in to have a good. And it's like getting over for a level 9. Remember. Weapon, it's like getting a little over 3,000 DPS, which is pretty good, I feel like. And then I have a submachine gun that I've also loaded out. But this is what I was telling Zach the other night. I was literally in the base of operations, crafting, swapping out, modifying things for 20 to 30 minutes.
And it's fun.
And it
I
is
love
fun.
doing that.
Oh,
kind
all
of
that stuff.
stuff.
And like
Normally,
that's something
I'm
they
just
did
like-
not skip just do quickly. That's
No.
they put a lot of effort into.
Normally,
all that.
I get something like I'll get inventory items. I'll breach them and be like, oh, this one has a higher attack. I'll use this now. Or this one has higher armor rating. I'll use this now. But this one, I'm really like going in and being like, oh, this is going to help my firearm bonus or whatever. And so I'm going to equip this because I'm really trying to be like, I'm kind of building my character more of like a tech and firearm. I think no, I'm like health and firearm. That's what I am. It's tech, firearm, and health are the three like things you can build up.
okay.
And so I'm focusing more of my build with firearm and health. So that way I can be like a really good lone gun and not have to worry about, I can take a lot of damage before I get overwhelmed or something like that, and then be able to return a lot of firepower back.
But you care about the stuff that you make too. Like if you craft your gun and you put mods on it, like that's something that you see in a lot of great RPGs. Like you get a certain sword and you do things to it. It's like, oh, you have attachment to what you're using.
And
Right.
can you lose these weapons that you
I don't
crafted?
think you can.
I don't
I think
think
the only
so.
time you can lose things is if it's something you've scavenged in the dark zone.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
the
like
Dark Zone
someone else
stuff-
can't kill you
And
just
take-
out of
No.
nowhere and take your stuff.
Right.
That's
Unless
too
it's something.
bad.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
think.
If
I
you
don't know. I
find
haven't
something
been
in the
into
dark
the dark zone too
and you
much.
haven't extracted it, then you can lose it. But
Right,
once
that's
you
what I'm
get
talking
it
about. Like,
and you
if
get out of
you're
there,
equipped-
it's yours.
yeah.
Okay.
You can keep it.
But yeah, no, it's just been a very
But that's a huge component. You're right. Like this element of crafting, modding.
and you can craft your gear, you can craft weapons, you can
Yeah,
craft
the amount
mods.
of customization is pretty in depth.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
because so it's like you have all your gear, but then you also have your apparel, which are like clothes and stuff like that, and those don't, and you can change that. Those are all interchangeable, but they don't affect what your gear looks like or how your gear affects you. So
That's definitely what I care about more
It's
than
great.
anything
Mogan,
else.
you would like this game.
I think-
That
and
sounds
just,
fun.
And just
It's-
like I keep saying, coming back to walk around the Manhattan is fun.
Right.
And interesting. And the stuff you find in apartments through cell phones, echoes, anything like that, the environment is like the story.
Right, and I agree with that. And I think some of our questions about the story will be answered the more. It's kind of like, here's this brief overview of what happened,
yeah.
and the more you explore, you slowly unveil what happened and
Which
what
I
you're shooting
like.
and what
You're
you're
kinda
going to.
catching up
Yeah,
to,
no,
like,
it's
what's
not just
going
like,
on.
hey, here's this bad guy. He did this really bad thing. We have to go stop him now.
Right. And
it's
that's
more
what
just
Destiny
like,
feels like.
yeah,
That's how Destiny
Burn.
felt.
well, I mean, bringing back to one of our biggest complaints with Destiny that we talked about in like episode 4, whenever we talked about the games we love to hate.
Oh, that's right. We had a
was
whole
just
conversation about
yeah,
it.
we just
I
had a
forgot
quick
about that.
Destiny conversation. That one is, I mean, we don't have to go back into it because we already covered it. It's just the stark contrast in how the two games handle matchmaking, and Division clearly does it better.
It does, and that's crazy for me to think because a year ago I would have never, or before both games would ever come out, I would never have thought that.
Yeah.
I thought Ubisoft and Tom Clancy would not have done a better job than Bungie would have done,
Right.
which is sad.
Yep.
But you're right, and I told
It's
this
the
to my
world we
friends.
live
I
in.
almost like this Division is almost what I wanted Destiny to be.
Oh, definitely.
And that's a big compliment because I had such high
Nice.
expectations for Destiny and what Destiny was set out to do. I was really respected and appreciated, but the Division seems like it handled it, or is handling it really the way I want to see it.
Right, and we'll see. Of course, obviously, like it has a big expansion plan. Like Ubisoft will be releasing
This is
DLC
going
and
to be
other
like
expansions.
their game for a while.
It is.
It's
It'll
this
be a
thing,
while
yeah.
before there's like a Destiny Division 2 or whatever. But so it's yet to be seen how well that will all pan out. But
Yeah.
for this initial and the 12, 15 plus hours that we
Yeah.
that we spend in it,
I'm very impressed.
and stuff like that. It's top notch. I mean, there were some couple things that like I wouldn't like. Like I like the interface a whole lot and how it's all like a everything. It's almost like. It's all like a computer graphic screen, like you
Yeah,
see in
it's very,
sci-fi
like,
movies now.
modern.
It's like a hologram kind of
It's
interface
like
kind of
attached
thing.
to like your body, so you're like walking with the amount of ammo or health
You don't have to.
have.
You pick up an item and you don't have to go to the inventory screen to see how many items you're holding. It'll like flash up. You're holding 22
Right.
of 34
It's-
items.
which
That's nice.
Yeah.
Little things like that make it nice.
Yeah.
I did run into a couple just like glitch things, I guess, where like in the base of operations, I was trying to change my apparel, and when I would select the apparel, my character would just go black, and I couldn't
Oh
see
yeah,
him.
whenever you're in the base of operations, that's happened to me. But it's
Yeah.
only in the base of operations that I've noticed
things
that.
a little screwy there.
Well, I don't like, for example, that you can't crouch. You can't crouch.
Yeah, you can only crouch in the cover system.
The
which
cover system works very well, and
I do like it. You have to get used to it though,
Yeah.
because you have so many options for cover.
Yeah.
it's hard when you're first using it. It is a little hard to direct. I want to go there, go there, kind of thing. You might go to like a random side to the left or the right of where you're intending to go. But overall, no, the cover system is fantastic.
I like-
and the
and-
blind fire is very well done.
And they do make a point like you should use the cover system if you really want to have a clear shot. You do get that sense. Like you can't just be kind of running out there.
Oh no. The
It's
few times I
it's
tried that to like
difficult.
just be walking around and take people out, I
You'll
got
get killed pretty
killed.
quickly.
Granted, now
took
I
it-
have a more powerful weapon, so like some of that military rifle that I do have is working out really well. So like if it's a group of like 2 raiders and I can catch I can catch them unawares, I can normally take them out without having to get into cover, and I'll maybe like take a couple hits, but not enough to
Right.
lose the first health bar.
I made a great game clip. I'll send it to you over Xbox Live of me in the dark zone against like level like 16s or something. I was like hiding behind a van, and I was like, all right, like here. They didn't know I was there, and they're walking this way. I was like, okay, like
Yeah.
at least I'll try to take down one. And like I peek out, and I like within a millisecond, one shot I was down. It was hilarious. It was so funny, and I was like, wow, I gotta make a clip of that. It's hilarious. It's
awesome.
like the most pathetic thing you'll ever see.
Yeah, send it to me. I want to see that. But no, overall, I haven't really run into anything that makes me like. There's nothing that I've been like, oh, that's terrible.
There's just
but
there are little things
little small like graphical things.
I
Like
really don't like that I can't crouch. Like I was really that
That-
really bothers me.
I know because I'm so used to that.
Yeah, I'm so used to like crouching and shooting
and
from
like
distance.
slowly
And I'm-
walking up or
and I'm also
creeping and stuff like
hoping.
that.
I know the Dark Zone's fun. I like what it has to offer, but I also would love to see how like a 4v4 just matchmaking would work outside of the open world. Like even if I have to go to a menu to do it, that's fine.
Just like a straight multiplayer.
a straight like just to 4v4 against each other, like capture the flag and stuff like that. Just how I wonder
That would
'cause
be fun.
because I love the cover system. It's like Gears of War, and like I think it could possibly work really well. And it could be like Destiny, where sometimes your perks are incorporated, and sometimes it's everyone's equal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would really like to see if that's something they're planning to do. Because
They might.
because I know that at least like with a game like Halo, that's what I keep playing. I can see myself doing all the missions and then doing the Dark Zone for a while, but essentially being like, I wish there was something else to do.
That's what
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm interested
I
to
could
see
see
because
it
like
hitting a
I haven't
wall.
touched Destiny in probably close to 3 months.
No. Oh man, I'm longer than that. For me.
Yeah, and so I'll be interested to see how long. But Destiny did keep my interest for a very long time, like at least a year. I was playing it consistently.
But I can see the same wall or ceiling forming already. Like I wonder what's going to happen when I do every mission and then I do the Dark Zone.
Are you just grinding at that point for
and
more
then,
gear?
like, is the Dark Zone fun enough and exciting enough over and over, or will I become powerful and like it won't be that scary? Like I don't know, like or are there anything in the Dark Zone that I can explore further? I don't know. That's my only biggest thing. But for now, it's definitely worth it. Like I don't regret getting this game at all.
Oh no, I don't. It's very much worth the buy. But yeah, so interesting to see where it will go.
Yeah.
I am of high opinion of this game so far.
Yes, it's
Ubisoft
good.
has done well,
It's very good.
and we can't wait to see where it goes in the future.
Yes.
So, I don't think we'll have time
For
to do the third one.
no, I think it's.
I think it was good. The game I was talking about, it's been now close. It's getting close to a month when it's going to come out. I was going to talk a little bit about Far Cry Primal. I'll just do a very brief. You should play it. I think.
Wow, very brief.
I think if
Play.
you are a fan of the Far Cry games, it incorporates enough of that old play style, but mixes in enough of the ancient world. Since you don't have guns, you have to craft all your weapons. You have to craft all these things. It has a very good crafting system too. Not as in depth as a Division, but it helps. It makes it matter to you that you have to hunt an animal or you have to collect some plants and things like that. Again, the Stone Age setting is very interesting since there haven't been a lot of games like that. I do want to play the other two games that are coming out set in similar time periods, Horizon Zero Dawn and Wild. I'm interested to see how they will compare to Primal. But yes, quick synopsis / review. It's fans of the Far Cry series will love it, and if you enjoy open world first person shooters, you will love it as well.
Hey,
Boom, done.
I don't know if I'll play it. Not convinced.
Well, damn.
No, I just never played Far Cry.
Immediate kickback.
Let's go off an hour tangent about Far Cry, going back and forth. We'll save it.
I
That's a
bring it up
bonus
enough
show.
in other episodes and stuff like that, so it's fine. I'll leave it at that. But anyway, so those have been our first Team Chat reviews.
Yes.
Let us know what you think and what
If
do you
we should
think
do it again.
how we should if we should do it again and or if you have any ideas for upcoming games you'd like us to review
or old
or
classic
old. We'll do
games.
old classic games too. We might be more in favor right now to do some more classic ones because
Everybody
as
knows
we
I
said
love old games.
Yeah.
as we said it does take we have to
Difficult for us.
with some budgetary restraints, we can't buy every single new game that comes out as much as we would like
I
to.
have tons of money.
Yeah,
Tell me all
Mogan
stuff.
rolls up in a
money bags over
Cadillac
here.
every time to the house. Hey, y'all.
But let us know if you have been playing either Twilight Princess HD or The Division.
And
what you
add
think
us
of those
on
games.
Xbox Live.
And add us on
hang out
Xbox
with us.
Live, which my name is Dogtown Warrior, all one word, no caps.
Ooh, and mine is Terminator Z, space between the Terminator and the Z.
And you can also find me on PlayStation Network, which is Dogtown_Warrior.
Oh, whoa.
That's you too.
That's me.
You son of a bitch.
That's me. So yeah, add us on Xbox Live. We'll do some missions together, something like that. Those should be fun. So yeah, let us know. Questions, comments, anything like that at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter. Send us a tweet there at teamchatpodcast. And until next time, this has been Team Chat Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
Oh, bye. Sorry.
Mogan was counting how many times Jarrett said
I know.
Team Chat
It's like, what are
Podcast.
we up to
In
now?
case you don't
5,
know what this
6,
podcast is
7.
known, I am now the Fei Lao
It's TCP.
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 But
We tag bridges.
so Rachel Mogan and to my left, Zachary Parks.
Peace out.
We'll see everyone next time.